do his best and go fight Earl Spence then. Shut up, take a little bit less money, be quiet, humble yourself, and fight Earl Spence, a stud. Do what he say, and then you might be the challenger sometimes.
Man, sit your ass down.
So what I do, YouTube? It's your boy King David in this thing, and I'm back at y'all again with another video. So before I get going on the video, man, I'm gonna need y'all to go ahead, hit the like button, and if you're new here, be sure to subscribe one time for your boy, so we can continue to grow like we need to grow on this channel. You know what I mean? Alright, so with all that out the window, man, y'all see what the title of the video is. Jermell Charlo versus Castano. Thoughts, predictions. You know what I mean? So, I'm actually pretty excited about doing this video, fam, because, I ain't do a prediction video in a good little while, yo. So, I'm excited about breaking this down and predicting who's going to win this fight between Jermell Charlo and Castano. And you know what, man? Not only am I excited about doing a prediction, I'm excited about the fight itself. I mean, one of the reasons I haven't really been doing predictions is because I haven't really found any fights that I was really excited about that I thought would be competitive enough in order to actually do a prediction video. You know what I mean? Like for Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez, I always knew Shakur Stevenson was going to wash Oscar Valdez. Like I didn't even, that wasn't worth doing a video about, A lot of people talk about Earl and Terrence, you know what I mean, as far as that being a 50-50 fight, but that ain't no 50-50 fight. I mean, the real ones know that ain't no 50-50 fight, you know what I mean? Canelo versus Bivol, I didn't do no prediction video about that because, like I said in the other videos, I thought Bivol would get robbed. I knew he wasn't going to knock Canelo out, and I just thought he was going to get robbed, so I didn't even bother doing a prediction video about that. But in this particular video right here, with Jermell Charlo, and Castano, I feel like this is a true 50-50 fight, and I feel like this fight really could go either way, thus motivating your boy King David enough to do a prediction video and break down who I believe is gonna win this motherfucking fight. But before that, man, I just can't say enough how excited I am for this fight, man. Comment below and let me know how excited you is for this fight. This is gonna be one hell of a motherfucking fight right here, bro. Castano versus Jermell Charlo 2 is gonna be one hell of a fight, full of fireworks, full of back and forth, full of a lot of shit, man, that we wanna see as boxing fans. So let me know in the comment section below how excited you are about Jermell Charlo versus Castano, because I'm excited. I think I might have to go live after that fight, man. You know what I mean? That's gonna be a good little scrap, one for the ages, man. You know what I mean? And then you know what the thing about it is, not only is this gonna be a good fight, but it's gonna be one of them fights that sets up other big fights. You know what I mean? Because I know for a fact, my boy, your boy, everybody's boy, Terrence T. Bud Crawford is gonna be looking for the winner of that fight. You know what I mean? So whoever manages to become undisputed right now is probably gonna have to see my boy in the future. You know what I mean? Either the next fight or the fight right afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot to be excited for with this fight, man. A lot to be excited for, And we get some resolution with the whole 154-pound division. Because for a while, this division has been we knew Charlo was the guy in the division. But, it's taking so long to get an undisputed here. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be good to finally have some resolution, first and foremost. Because we already know that draw last year between Charlo and Castano, that left a real dry ass motherfucking taste in a lot of our mouths. So I'm really looking to get some kind of resolution here and figure out who the best is at 154. And then the winner can see my boy Terrence T. Bud Crawford. But anyway, let's go on and get into breaking this motherfucking fight down. You know what I mean? Alright, so cool. So if you've been rocking with your boy King David any longer than a day, then you know how I break down fights, man. Literally what I do is I break it down according to attributes, right? I give you the attributes. Then after I give you the attributes, I give you what I think is going to happen in the fight, and then the keys to victory for each fight, right? Alright, cool. So let's start with the attributes, man. So you know what the attributes are: power, speed, technical skill, IQ, experience. Those are the attributes that I typically use. Sometimes I'll switch it up, but that's typically what I do. But anyway, so y'all got it. Let's break it all the way down here. Okay, so cool. Let's start with the power. I actually feel like both Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano have pretty equal power. In the first fight, they were both able to hurt each other multiple times throughout the course of the fight, but not only that, they both seemed like they had similar effects on each other when they were able to stun each other or hit each other with a good shot. It seemed like they affected each other more or less the same in a lot of cases. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say that their power is more or less equal. But if I had to pick one, somebody was putting a gun to my head, I would probably give Jermell Charlo a slight edge when it comes to power in that department, given his track record over the last 5 and 6 fights, right? And I feel like he was the one that was able to hurt Brian Castano the worst, you know, in the first fight. You know what I mean? But power, ultimately, I would say they're pretty even. Speed. I think that when it comes to hand speed, I think that Brian Castano, hand speed and foot speed is a little bit better than Jermell Charlo. I would actually give him the advantage. I think Brian Castano throws the faster combinations. I think Brian Castano has the faster and better feet. He has the ability to cut off the ring. Jermell Charlo doesn't necessarily have the ability to circle, all right, move around the ring. You know what I mean? I've seen him use his jab a little bit in the first fight, but not so, you know, not good enough to be able to, like, the superior footwork definitely belonged to Brian Castano. You know, every time Jermell Charlo was trying to maintain his distance, was trying to use his jab, and Brian Castano would be able to cut the distance easily. He'd be able to get on the inside pretty easily. And for that reason, I just got to give Brian Castano the edge when it comes to speed, footwork wise and hand speed wise. He would catch Jermell Charlo in little corners and would be able to flurry and throw combinations way quicker than Jermell Charlo was able to do, right? All right, so that's for speed. Technical boxing skill. I actually would probably give Jermell Charlo the edge when it comes to technical boxing skill. Jermell Charlo fundamentally does things better than Brian Castano. I think his jab is a little bit better. I think Jermell Charlo's movement is a little more fundamental. I think Brian Castano is a little unorthodox. I think at times he turns into a bit of a street fighter, and as a result, and has also defensive lapses. I think also too, I think Jermell Charlo's defense is probably a little bit better. He got hit a lot versus Brian Castano, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying by any means that Jermell Charlo is much better defensively than Brian Castano. I actually think that they're, for the most part, pretty even. A lot of these attributes are pretty even, and when I give I'm giving slight edges as I'm going through these breakdowns. Nobody is far above anybody in any of these categories, you know what I mean? But the technical boxing skill, I would slightly favor Jermell Charlo in that aspect, because I think that he's a guy that just fundamentally does things a little bit better than what Brian Castano would do, right? Then it comes to the boxing IQ. Now, none of these dudes really have the ability to make adjustments mid-fight. I've never really seen that too much from either fighter. That said, I would slightly favor Jermell Charlo a little bit when it comes to ring IQ. And the reason I would slightly favor Jermell Charlo is because I think that he's seen more styles, you know what I'm saying, than Brian Castano. I think that in his pro career, he's just seen more styles and has been able to make the tiny adjustments in order to be successful in those fights. So I would slightly favor Jermell Charlo, just given his experience, you know what I mean? But I don't see Brian Castano as being too far behind. I think Brian Castano's right there when it comes to his ring IQ. But again, none of these dudes have super high ring IQs. None of them are Bud Crawford or Floyd Mayweather or any of these other guys who are really good at making adjustments. Demetrius Andrade, none of these guys are on that level. But You know what I mean? So for that reason, I feel like the ring IQ is, for the most part, pretty comparable. You know what I mean? But yeah. But the attribute after that actually go right back to what I was saying, which is experience. I think that Jermell Charlo has the better experience. He's fought more guys he's fought different kinds of style over time. He has more fights. He's been a champion longer than Brian Castano. And for that reason, I feel like his experience is going to be a little bit better, So for that reason, I'd favor like Jermell Charlo, you know what I mean? And then finally, there's like intangible things, right? Which intangible things, right, are like things like height, reach, are they coming off of a loss, whatever, right? That's what the intangibles are. So intangibles, I would say if we had to point some out, Jermell Charlo's the taller guy. He has the longer reach. He's also the guy who's naturally bigger. Brian Castano is a very compact, kind of stocky kind of dude, you know what I mean? Which can serve his own tpurposes in regards to him being able to fight on the inside and Jermell's ability to fight on the outside. But ultimately, man, I think that the intangibles aren't really going to play much of a role here, given the fact that both of these dudes have had the same amount of time off. The last fight was against each other, so there's no issues with layoffs. There's no issues with injuries or anything like that we know of. Brian Castano said he had some injury a while ago, but he should be recovered from that, so hopefully that's back in order. Yeah, man, everything, I don't think there's anything that sticks out as far as intangibles. Nobody's going up in weight or coming down in weight or anything like that. So, yeah, man, I think that we're just going to get a really good fight. And again, this is a 50-50 fight in my eyes. This is the definition of a 50-50 fight in my eyes, man. Brian Castano and Jermell Charlo. As far as the keys to victory, I think for Brian Castano, he needs to try to get have Jermell Charlo be on the ropes as much as possible. He needs to be very efficient and proficient in cutting the ring off. Jermell Charlo's poor footwork is going to make him vulnerable as far as being able to maintain distance and being able to keep the fight in the middle of the ring. So if Brian Castano is able to cut the ring off, if he's able to cut the ring off well enough, close the distance, much like he did in the first fight, and land his flurries and his combinations, he should be able to work Jermell Charlo enough in order to win a decision if he stays busy like he did in the first fight. But in addition to that, hopefully he'll be able to even hurt Jermell Charlo while he's in the corner throwing all them punches and bunches. So for Brian Castano, again, the name of his game is to be able to cut the ring off and to corner Jermell Charlo as much as possible so he's able to land his punches, because Jermell Charlo doesn't fight well fighting backing up. He doesn't fight well on his back foot. He doesn't fight well off the ropes. He'll land a punch here and there off the ropes, but at the end of the day, like, it's definitely not his strong suit. He makes defensive mistakes on the ropes, and that's your best bet to get him on the ropes in order to be able to come out with the victory. Now, if you're Jermell Charlo, your keys to victory is to stay off the ropes. The very opposite of what it was for Brian Castano. You want to stay off the ropes. You want to be able to circle and pivot out of the way, all right, and try to control Brian Castano as much as you can with your jab, okay? And then you want to throw sharp and efficient counter punches, because Brian Castano is a guy who likes to throw punches and bunches. Brian Castano is a guy who likes to be active. So, in order to remedy that, you only remedy punches and bunches with counter punches. You make people gun shy. You make fighters scared to throw punches. All right. You make Brian Castano slow down his punches with effective and efficient counter punches. And I think at the end of the first fight, Jermell Charlo started to get a feel for Brian Castano's timing. So hopefully he can pick up from where he left off, okay, and really hurt Brian Castano and get him out of there, But because if this fight goes 12, it's going to be up in the air, because we know that Brian Castano's work rate is going to be super high. We know he's going to throw a lot of punches. We know that he's going to make the fight very rough and rugged as long as he's in the game. So Jermell Charlo's best bet and his best chance to win this fight is to knock Brian Castano out. You know what I mean? And I know he was talking a whole lot of shit and saying, yeah, he gonna knock Brian Castano out, and that's what's up. You know, but he needs to go in there and show and prove, you know what I mean, and actually get this guy out of there, you know. And you know, hopefully it goes like that. But yeah, man. Okay, so cool, man. This is how I think the fight is gonna actually happen, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give you that. So ultimately, I think that this fight is gonna look a lot like the first fight. Brian Castano pretty much on his front foot, getting Jermell Charlo on the ropes and being able to throw a lot of punches. You know, throw punches and bunches, be active. You know, go to the body a lot. I see him being very aggressive very early on, looking to control the pace as much as possible. You know what I mean? And Jermell Charlo kind of getting caught in spots. Now, I think that this fight, I think what's going to happen in this fight is Jermell Charlo I think he's going to make some adjustments from the last fight, right? And what he's going to do is he's not going to the ropes nearly as much as he did in the last fight. I think Jermell Charlo's mission is going to be to stay off the ropes, and to stay in the middle of the ring as much as possible, because Brian Castano doesn't really throw punches in the middle of the ring like that. You know what I mean? Jermell Charlo is more so the guy who controls the pace of the fight when the fight is in the middle of the ring. So I think we're going to see Jermell Charlo do that a lot more. But not only that, I think that Jermell Charlo towards the end of the last fight was starting to get a good idea of Brian Castano's timing, right? So I think we're going to see Jermell Charlo catch Brian Castano coming in. I feel like he's going to get caught coming in with something nice and sharp from Jermell, because we know Jermell loads up on a lot of his punches, right? So I think when Jermell's able to pick up on your timing, he becomes a lot more dangerous, because you know that he's throwing all his punches in order to take your head off. So I feel like Brian Castano is going to end up getting caught up probably like around round 7, round 8. And I feel like the fight's going to end up being stopped, or Jermell may even come out of this fight with a spectacular knockout. You know what I mean? I think the fight's going to end like that, man. You know, but it's going to be an epic fight as long as it lasts. I think it's going to be dope, and I think we're going to get a real classic on this one. Probably fight of the year candidate. You know what I mean? You know, I think that this is just ultimately going to be a really good fight, man, and I can't wait for it, man. Let me know what y'all think about this shit, man. Hit it up in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And everybody, and I do mean everybody, be sure to hit that goddamn like button. But until next time, I'ma holla at y'all. Peace.
Let's go. Let's do it. I'm with it. I'll fight you in the video. Get a belt. Do something. I understand.
Come on, man.